Hey, I'm Mezzenga, and this is the Retail Field Report. People of Retail Field Report featuring Boll and Branch's Chief Operating Officer, Katia Unlu. Katia, welcome to Retail Field Report. How are you?
I'm so excited to be here and reconnect and chat. It's going to be
Oh
so
my
fun.
gosh. First, before we get started, I want to know what you did before you came to work today to record this interview. What does your morning look like?
I'm actually in our New York office today. And before I came here, I dropped off my daughter at school. So I do that every day. Her school is close by to our office, so it's nice. It works
Oh,
out.
nice.
But the other thing that I do is we are very, I would say, OCD about our Slack channels. So one of the best Slack, we have several of these, but we have a Slack channel where we get live orders from our customers. So it comes through in Slack and with comments. So, one of the Slack channels is like, what was the primary reason for your purchase today?
Yeah.
So I read all the things that people have said and answer to that question like overnight, because obviously there's a ton of orders that come through overnight. So it's just like a really fun way for me to start the day because it's like I learned so much from those free form snippets that people write in, like way more than I can learn from an organized focus group or
Yeah.
a customer survey, formal survey that we're in. Like I just learned so much from those like little snippets of how we can improve the experience. How, again, like what are the most powerful marketing channels? Like why do people want to buy
Sure.
our product? So honestly, that is like one of my favorite, like I would say nightly scroll and morning scroll.
That's awesome. I mean, I think it's interesting. I know, well, like you're starting to get into more stores. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I was just at an event in New York this week, and what I think is so amazing about the fact that you take the time to do that, and it's easier because it's online and you're able to look at it on a Slack channel, but is you're spending time listening to the customers and getting in front of them and really understanding that. And that I think that number one is commendable. But I'm also curious, like, so how does that like help you define where the opportunity is in front of you right now and like what your main area of focus is going to be as you're gathering this, I mean, twice daily input from consumers of
Live.
Boll and Branch?
Yeah, it's actually live. It's not normal. So we all get like distracted, and then you get like the Slack thread going, this is amazing. We should do this. But honestly, truly, that's what happens. It kind of, somebody will say, one of the customers will say something, and things will just catch on fire because I'm not the only one that's looking at the Slack channel. Most of our
Yeah.
like key cross-functional partners are in that live Slack channel. So things will catch on fire. So I'll give you an example. So many people comment, I want to see the bedding in my room, right?
Yeah.
This is my bed frame, this is what it is, like I want to see it in my house.
Yeah.
And that we have found historically that is like one of the biggest, barriers, right?
Sure.
People want to be able to visualize it in their space. So the bed visualizer that we just launched 2 weeks ago on site came
Okay.
out of real life feedback that customers were giving us, basically commenting and saying, how I love your hydrangea sheets, but like I'm hesitant to buy them because I don't know how they'll look good with my taupe bed frame. So
Yeah.
honestly, it came out of one of those like Slack conversations that we were having internally based on the customer commenting. And now it's a live product. You can snap a picture of your bed and you can upload it, and it will immediately, using AI, visualize our products on your bed.
I imagine that's great. That helps cut down on returns. People can actually like see the product, especially when they've purchased the product already and know the quality. They're able to kind of like test those
Totally.
colorways visually. But now you're going into stores,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned something at the onset that I was like, stop, we got to hit record because I want to hear this. Okay, so
Yep.
tell me what you're doing now, how you're taking that like online experience into the real world and what that looks like.
So we're going to be almost at 20 stores by the end of the year, which is amazing and incredible. I was just in our Chestnut Hill store for our grand opening weekend this past weekend, and it's it's like one of my favorite parts of my job is to get to do that and actually talk to customers in real life. We have this amazing install program. So it's a completely complimentary service that we offer to people. If you have bought bedding for us and if you want the help, we come to your house, we style your entire bed, we make it look like all of the images on our website perfect, steam the sheets, absolutely everything. We leave a couple of things extra, some flowers, croissants. Like this is just what we do for our customers. 100%. The biggest kind of barrier to us scaling that program has been that not everybody wants this in their home. So what we are now able to do is we have the bed visualizer loaded on iPads at the retail stores. And they can, again, either the customer can send a picture or we can take a picture of one of our beds and place immediately all the product on it in 2 seconds.
Wow. I don't care what you would see. I think I would just, if you're bringing croissants and you're steaming my sheets, my God. You're actually one person who, from the time I met you at Shop Talk, when you were talking about like building your own custom tools using the existing Google suite of products that your team uses already, like that was one of my biggest takeaways. How do you, one, prioritize what you're going to work on with your team when you have this constant, like this really beautiful, constant creative flow of ideas from your team and from customers? And then how do you act on it? Because it's got to take a lot of like unique, I think, personal capability to really like create a lane of focus and get people to follow along with it.
So with AI, like speaking of some of the things that we've talked about, so we've created a number of tools, including a custom AI agent, we call her Tess, that helps us with reporting and insights. So I think that's I would say like that is one of the biggest game changers for us in terms of AI, because it allows us to, instead of having a meeting where the team is just like reading the news to me that they spent 4 hours like pulling from vast different Meta, Google, Google Analytics, Shopify, etc., from like 12 different places. Now, Tess sends the entire team a report at 8 a.m. of all of that objective, also, by the way. And rather than having a Monday morning or Monday afternoon meeting that is just every channel owner reading the news to me, we can have an actual conversation. Hey, that's a really interesting insight that like, does that mean, hydrangeas in season and we should think about how we can do the hydrangea launch even better next year? Like those are the types of, we can have an actual brainstorm and a real conversation around the look forward rather than spending time on like fact checking data and making sure that it's accurate and aligning our stories together. So I would say like AI has been such an unlock for us. And I think it's one of the most under leveraged ways to use AI. I joke about this, but I'm so bored by the conversation of AI and creative. Honestly, it's one of the use cases for sure, but I'm so over it because there's such far better ways. The team spends hours typically on pulling together reports and insights. And now again, we can have a much more fruitful conversation. I think my other kind of like tip and trick is in person over Zoom. So if I want to have a real like brainstorm, reset, like what are we going to do? What are the goals for the second half of the year? That needs to happen in person. Like there's no substitute for that.
It's interesting because in these interviews, Katia, I've asked a lot of people, what is it that you're doing to improve the lives of the people on your teams in the retail industry? And if I'm hearing this right, it's not the typical things where like we're investing in new hardware or whatever. The thing that you're doing best for your teams, it seems, is providing them the ability to make the most of their time, of all of your time together, using objective data that you're not bogging them down by collecting. You're using AI in this very responsible, effective way to run efficient meetings so that everybody's very quickly aligned on what the tasks are for that day, for that 3-month, 6-month outlook.
And that's when it creates the space for people for everybody on the team to say what their idea is, right? Instead of spending time, again, verifying numbers or someone is saying, oh, this, from my perspective, from the e-com side of things, like this actually performed well. And the paid person says, no, it didn't do well as an ad. None of that happens anymore. And instead everyone's like, wow, this campaign like worked really well. Like, how are we going to think about iterating on that? It's a much more interesting, fruitful conversation to be having.
Katia, how do you think about stuff like agentic commerce?
In terms of like, will we see Boll and Branch in ChatGPT checkout and all of those things? Again, we're trying to bring a premium experience to consumer. This category is confusing. 50 to 70% of people need to feel the sheets, feel the quality of the product, the experience that you had, right? And I think that's really hard to get across in a 1-second meta ad or through a ChatGPT checkout. We are always going to play in some way in those things, but more differentiated and like bringing the experience in real life is more where we're going.
I so appreciate your time. Every time I talk to you, I learn so much. In closing, I'm curious to ask you, what's the thing that got you most excited about being in your role most recently?
Last night I was talking to another mom and, of course, like I've given her some Boll and Branch, but now she's become an avid customer. And she's like, her daughters are grown and they're in college. And she's like, I have now outfitted the guest rooms with Boll and Branch because I want her to come home. Like it's her lure for the daughter to like stay longer. She's like, so like she's coming for Memorial Day. So like I brought out the Boll and Branch on the guest beds so that she'll stay longer. And like that to me is like that's what makes me excited about. It's the stories that we hear, every day. That's what makes me excited and get up in the morning and to do this crazy thing all over again.
Well, I'm so glad that you do. I know that mom, those daughters coming home from college this week, all of us who have gotten the chance to try the product are so excited. Thank you so much, Katia. Thank you all for joining us for our People of Retail Field Report. Until next time, stay curious.